A place of tranquility and most of the supporting casts are double acts? That sounds familiar. Hello and welcome to my review of Doctor Who Series 12, Episode 3, Orphan 55, written by Ed Hime and directed by Lee Haven-Jones. Now this is Ed Hime's second script for the programme after writing It Takes You Away from the previous year, which you should totally check out on my channel if you want to know my further thoughts on it. The story involves the Doctor, Yaz, Graham and Ryan going to Tranquility Spa via a transport cube for an all-inclusive stay. They are welcomed by their customer host, Whittaker-Dakin, played by Amy Booth Steele, and as Ryan retrieves a snack from the vending machine, he is infected by a hopper virus, which the Doctor is able to extract from him. While recovering, he meets fellow guest Bella. Meanwhile, there is a physical breach and guests are asked to assemble for a muster drill. The Doctor convinces Whittaker-Dakin to give her access to the linen cupboard, which is actually a deadlocked security room with an armoury where they meet Kane, played by Laura Fraser. The Doctor becomes suspicious upon discovering that there is an ionic membrane needed to protect the holiday spa. The creatures that broke into the spa start killing all the guests. The remaining survivors, the spa's mechanic Navi, played by James Buckley, his son Silas, and an elderly couple, Vilma and Benny, meet at the linen cupboard, but Velma notices that Benny has gone missing. The Doctor builds a new ionic membrane from scratch which banishes the creatures from the spa. Now safe, Kane identifies the creature as the local dregs. It is revealed that the spa is a vacation, a place designed to look like a vacation in a fabricated environment. The spa's system, which tracks all the guests, shows Benny to be outside the spa, and the survivors go out to rescue him. From the vehicle, the group sees the uninhabitable desolation of the Orphan planet, Orphan 55. The vehicle is caught in a dreg trap and the dregs surround it, keeping Benny as a hostage. The group make a run for a nearby service tunnel, but the dregs kill Benny and Whittaker-Dakin. Once in the tunnel, Bella reveals herself to be Kane's daughter, who Kane neglected in order to build her own spa. Bella escapes with Ryan via the transport, while the others are forced to continue further along to the stairs as dregs swarm into the tunnels. The Doctor, Yaz and Graham discover a Russian sign, or rusted, meaning that Orphan 55 is actually a future Earth that was devastated by global climate change and nuclear war. Velma sacrifices herself to give the group more time to escape, and going through a dreg nest, the Doctor learns that the dregs are mutated humans that survived the nuclear fallout. My expectations for this episode were pretty high, as Ed Hime wrote one of my favourite episodes from Series 11, which delved a lot into the surreal and emotional viewpoints for the characters. Now, my main criticism of that story was that there was too much going on, but overall I do think it worked, and it had a lot to say about human beings moving on from the past and moving on from grief and losing loved ones, and I really do admire it for going against the traditional villain conventions by not really having one. The intentions were good, but it was causing mass harm to the universe the Doctor lives in. Now honestly, I feel you could sum up that previous line of analysis to this episode. The intentions I felt were good, but execution-wise, they were very all over the place. That caused a lot of harm to the episode. Jodie Whittaker gave a very intense performance this week. This Doctor was taken out of her comfort zone, mainly because she had no TARDIS and, thank God, no Sonic. But I think a lot of this intensity came from the fact that she's still recovering from Gallifrey being a ruin in the previous episode. Now, quite a few people have felt that her speech at the end about climate change and global warming was way too on the nose, but in the context of this series, I think it made perfect sense. Since the Doctor saved Gallifrey in the 50th anniversary, she's been pretty ignorant towards it. She went back in hell-bent and hasn't returned since, and look what happened to it. It's a complete ruin now. People on Earth are ignoring their scientists and natural disasters, just like the Doctor did, and Earth was devastated by climate change and nuclear war. The Doctor doesn't want the Earth to suffer the same fate as Gallifrey. I don't know if this was intentional or not, but maybe for the rest of the series, the effect of Gallifrey will have a profound effect on the Doctor's character. Heck, she denied it to Yaz earlier in the episode by simply saying, "Oh, my mood's fine, don't worry about me." That got her told. Whittaker played this really well, and I liked how she put herself between Kane and Bella when they were turning on each other with guns. And obviously things aren't helped by pointing guns at each other. Again, while we squabble over who does the washing up, The house is burning and we're all in this together. Given the forest fires that have devastated Australia over the past few weeks, it seems like a very relevant topic to talk about and present in a sci-fi series. Other great moments include when she finally discovered what the dregs were and their origin. The expression and the way she delivered the line, "That's what I was afraid of." I think it represented what our companions thought of it, and a lot of the viewers at home. We deny it at first, they can't be us because they're too monstrous, but the longer we see it, the more we accept and understand it. Other great moments include the "when I say run, run." That was a nice callback to the Troughton era. Thank you very much. I'm really enjoying what they're doing with Doctor 13 so far this series, and it reminds me a lot of what they did with Peter Davison as the Fifth Doctor. We start off with one of the nicer Doctors in their first season, but as time goes on, they lose more and more. At the end of season 19, the Fifth Doctor lost Adric, one of his companions, and now 13 has lost her entire home again. Both Doctors here, I think, have a lot of insecurity. They're trying to be good people, but the universe isn't rewarding them despite their best efforts. The 13th Doctor did many good things for the universe in Series 11, and at the start of this series, it almost seemed like they were punishing her for it by taking away her home. And now we've seen the Earth, which is essentially her second home, be a complete ruin. Maybe this will lead to her finally snapping, reaching a breaking point this series, or going down a really dark path for the finale. I mean, this previously happened when we got the Sixth Doctor, who was a complete contrast to the Fifth. The Fifth was more soft and boyish and trying to be a good person, whereas the Sixth Doctor was debating, am I really a good person? Should I just throw up the towel and say, screw it, this is who I am the Doctor whether you like it or not. It's a really brave thing to go down with, and I hope we can have the full potential realised in Series 12. Our companions this week were a mixed bag. Yaz, I feel again, was a nothing present, and there was only one moment where she stood out for me, and that was the ending where she asked the Doctor, how long did you know about the Earth? You never know, it might lead to a lack of trust between her and the Doctor. If she keeps secrets from her during those adventures and wonderful places that they see together, what else is she keeping from them, such as Gallifrey and the fate of her home planet? But overall, I didn't feel she did much. And I'm sorry if you've watched my Series 11 reviews and feel I'm repeating myself here, but blame the series, not me. Graham also felt quite wasted. The line about the Speedos was pretty funny and it did get a laugh from me, but combine this with the laser feet scene from Spyfall, I'm worried that this series he's gonna just become comic relief. Personally, I felt that his series arc became complete in Series 11 when Ryan finally accepted him as his granddad. Personally, I feel he would have fared better if this season he becomes a Jackie Tyler type character, the family relative who stays at home and the companions would occasionally see when they visited Earth. Now, we are only 2 stories into Series 12, but let's hope Graham does have more to do in upcoming stories. Ryan, I think, did really shine in this story. This was definitely a good story for Tosin Cole to get his teeth into something. I really like the comedy that came from the Hopper virus at the start. I do like how it did come back later to trap one of the dregs. It was funny, but it was also integral to the plot as well. I liked his friendship with Bella, and that they can relate to each other because they've both lost important parental figures in their lives. Sadly, I don't buy this romance. Again, this just feels really underdeveloped, and I feel they should have stayed friends throughout the story. Though I will admit, the line about Ryan being rubbish at chat-up lines was pretty funny. Maybe this can add to a character arc about Ryan gaining more confidence in his social skills, as Resolution had him standing up to his dad, so maybe he'll be able to increase his confidence as the series go on. Maybe he's the one who finally gets the Doctor to open up about her past along with Yaz. In all honesty, if you're going to have multiple companions, I think you need more two-parters, so they all have time to shine. I feel we got them all a chance to have their moment in Spyfall, which was a two-parter, and I also felt Stephen Moffat got this right in Series 5 and 6, as we had 4 main characters. We had the Doctor, Amy, Rory and River, both in The Pandorica Opens and The Big Bang, and The Impossible Astronaut in Day of the Moon. That's a lot of ands. They had 90 minutes to give each character a time to shine. If Chibnall is sticking to this mostly one-episode format, then I'd say just have 2 companions, that would be the limit here, or make multi-episodes more common in this series. Now, we are getting a two-parter at the end of Series 12, but I wish we had another in the middle of the series, because week after week the companions alternate on who gets sidelined, and I think we should start making more improvements to that rather than just repeating mistakes. Speaking of being underdeveloped, the characters felt that way this week as well. Now, a lot of them seem to come in double acts, so I'll talk about them that way. Up first we have Kane and Bella, played by Laura Fraser and GRE respectively. I'm in two minds when it comes to their characters. Thematically, I liked what they represented. Both of them were squabbling over parental issues and child neglect, and were even willing to shoot each other for it. The doctor got between them and told them to stop and think about what they're both doing, and she said there are greater things at risk here, which is escaping from the dregs. However, I felt this represented humanity's dilemma that got them here in the first place, that we missed the bigger picture. We're all human at the end of the day, and we should learn to forgive and hopefully work together. Plus, going back to the concept of a tranquil spa, I like how thematically this connected with Kane's character. She chose to ignore her own daughter to build this spa, and now she's ignoring the bigger picture of the world around her. She's created a place that may seem like paradise, but it's only a blip on the map compared to what's happened to the rest of the world. It's the equivalent of putting fingers in your ears and going, la 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 la. As the doctor says, we're all capable of great things, but we can't hide from the facts that the scientists and experts are trying to tell us. However, even though the doctor tells us we're capable of great things, we don't really see this much. Now granted, Kane does sacrifice herself to hold off the dregs, but for me it just felt quite nihilistic. Couldn't we have her live and working with her daughter to build a better future for the world rather than running away from her problems? The same goes for Bella as well. She does stand up for herself and fight, but I think leaving her fate unknown just felt really incomplete. We're told she's strong and that she'll survive, but can't we see that? And let's experience what these characters were surviving and fighting for and making a better world. Next up we have Vilma and Benny, played by Julia Foster and Cole Farrell respectively. Now, I liked their beginnings and their setup and what they signified. They're a couple that have been together for years now but have never got married, with Vilma thinking that there is no need for change, just as when Benny pulls out the engagement ring before putting it back in his pocket, as she mentions that. The doctor says that not a lot of people want to change when it comes to, say, climate change, but as human beings we can make powerful decisions and it's never too late. Life is too short to not tell the person that you're in love with them, and it's not too late to save the planet. Sadly, everything in the middle felt really flat for me, and the performance from Julia Foster just felt really off to me. From an actor's perspective, it's felt like she didn't know what to make of the script because it felt really inconsistent and really all over the place. Just not a very strong performance in my opinion. And because of my lack of belief in the performance, I couldn't care much for the character when she died. Script-wise, they're okay and did have potential, but they were pretty bungled in execution. Finally, we have Navi and Silas, played by James Buckley and Llewyn Lloyd respectively. With these two, I also saw wasted potential that was also underdeveloped. I felt what we should have had was a more loving relationship between the father and son, which would have been a nice contrast between Kane and Bella, who were estranged from each other. Human beings are capable of great change, and I think it represented how good we can be to each other and the world if we showed more love. Sadly, if Navi wasn't played by James Buckley, I wouldn't have cared that much about him or his son, because while there wasn't really that much conflict between the two, there also wasn't much love between them either. If they went for the latter, then we could have seen how, despite our differences, we can band together and face the enemy. Again, it was a plot point that just felt really underdeveloped. I think there was too much going on here character-wise that should have had a two-parter in order to flesh this out. The episode itself did end on a pretty downbeat note, with the Doctor speaking to her companions how this is only one strand of the future that may happen if we don't make change in the present. It's like Ed Heim took that moment where the Fourth Doctor took Sarah Jane to a terrorised 1980 in Pyramids of Mars and decided to make an entire episode about it. But here's what I would have made if this was a two-parter. Have the cliffhanger be the revelation that this is a future Earth that has gone completely to rubbish, and have part two gathering all the people of this alternate Earth who have still survived and held out all these years, and everyone banding together to make a new and better Earth. I think this is why the ending threw a lot of people off, as while we're told that there is a flicker of hope, we don't really see it. Why not show the world what we can do, as sometimes telling people isn't as good? To compare this to, say, Invasion of the Dinosaurs, which also had a similar message about climate change, it said it a bit more gently in the 1970s, that when we're born into the world, we can make our own. And we all have a choice to make things good rather than get corrupted by greed. And now I get why this message was more stronger in Orphan 55. The past few weeks, Australia has literally been on fire. And while this was written long before that, it's still happening. And last year we had the Amazon rainforest fires. The world we live in is burning as we speak, and we need to do more. But why not show us the good we can do to make this change? Have a whole episode dedicated to that. An episode dedicated where they rebuild society. I'd be totally down for that. Do you remember Utopia? It's a good episode because it's kind of an untraditional Doctor Who story. There's not really a big villain to defeat, apart from the Master being revealed at the end, but it's the Doctor and his companions just helping to give humanity a second chance. And yeah, they succeed in the end. And while it doesn't go the route we wanted them to because of what comes in the following 2 episodes, I'd really love to see an episode about that. Not have there be a villain, just have there be an episode where the Doctor just does her best to make this society a better place. Let's have that. Production-wise, this episode was a mixed bag. I like the cinematography of the spa and the barren Earth that we had. The colours of the spa looked really nice, and I enjoyed the contrast between this and the wasteland. The relaxing atmosphere is literally a wall away from the horrible wasteland that the dregs inherit. The dregs were really good and looked terrifying. It wouldn't surprise me if kids went scurrying behind the sofa when they came on screen. The costume and makeup look great, and I think the concept that they're us makes them even more scarier, a bit like the Cybermen. The direction was also a bit lackluster at times. The editing just felt really all over the place, and it took me multiple rewatches to see what happened, as well as reading the plot synopsis on Wikipedia, which I don't recommend you do. Now, I'm all watching for a piece of entertainment again to see what we missed first time, but when you can't understand what's happening because of the editing, I think we've got a bit of a problem here. So, to conclude, Orphan 55 is an ambitious episode that has good intentions but falters in a lot of other areas such as characterization, runtime and editing. However, with a relevant topic for the world of today, scary moments and a more intense, darker 13th Doctor, Orphan 55 still stands tall despite some of its wasted potential. If this was a 2-parter, we could have had something really special here. Sadly, we got a house made of sand that can crumble, but has been built on pretty solid ground. My allegories are getting weirder as the episodes go by. Well everyone, that's all from me. Be sure to like, share and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Orphan 55. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? What did you think of the message? Let me know and I'll take a look. And I'll see you all next week as we go back in time to history. Goodbye.